Hello and welcome to day 8 of the 12 food stories of food and inspiration. Hope and inspiration. God, I can't believe on day 8 I finally get it wrong. Welcome. Mussels, not those, the seafood kind. I've grown up and studied in Belgium, just over the border from the Netherlands, and mussels with chips or fries or whatever you want to call them. Moule frite is a big thing in Belgium, and that would be minimum 1 kilogram per person, not this kind of namby-pamby UK style. Here's your lovely little mussel starter. Nah. This is a proper main course. Traditionally served in pans like this, right? Where the lid comes off and you collect your shells in this and you eat and dig in and look into your little pan, personal pan. I'll come back to that. So especially when the mussel season opens, right? I went to drama school in Antwerp, and Antwerp has a particular street of restaurants going up and down, going up and down, going up and down, restaurant after restaurant. And when the mussel season started, every one of those restaurants up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down would serve mussels. Fresh, beautiful, gorgeous mussels. And I remember walking up and down with my parents, my brother, my mum, my dad, and we'd follow my dad up and down the street, up and down the street, up and down the street until he decided which restaurant we were going to go into. And it was always the cheapest one for the particular mussels that he liked because, the Dutch watch their pennies. But one of the earliest food memories I have was sharing mussels at the kitchen table with my brother, bro, as I call him, mum and dad, not in a dining room posh place, on the kitchen table, in this humongous pan. Actually, looking at it now, it looks smaller than I remember it, but as a kid, this was humongous. And yes, this is the very pan that was plonked in the middle of the table. Mum would have cleaned the mussels. She would have soaked them overnight in milk to get rid of the grit. I have no idea if that's even a thing, but I've done some research. I think it is. But anyway, that's what she did. She soaked it overnight in milk and rinsed them again and made them in the simplest possible way, not even marinara or with cream. No. Simply with onions, leek, salt and pepper. I'm not sure they ever saw white wine even, because we were kids. I don't know, but it was the most delicious thing. And it's one of my earliest food memories, which is still why I love mussels today. Now, in that pan, sharing that pan in the middle of the table, being kids, you had to be quick. Dad ate pretty quick, right? You snooze, you lose. So we learned to dig in before Dad went back in. Dad went back in. I don't even remember if we served it with chips or with bread, or all I remember is the simplicity and the wonderful sharing of those mussels. I realize I haven't introduced you to my brother, Bro. He lives in The Hague. I'm in England. My parental home was in Belgium, so we already lived in different places for many years. And we are polar opposites in many ways, including when it comes to food. He has self-diagnosed himself as on the spectrum of asparagus, as I keep calling it, being a foodie. And I don't disagree with him because I see it in his food patterns. once he told me that, I was like, gosh, that makes sense. He can cook basic meals. He's a fried egg aficionado, and yes, that is intended to be as cheesy as I just said it. But he's not a cooking princess or even a cooking prince. He eats out minimum 4 times a week. Not right now with COVID and everything, so he's making do. But he's a creature of habit. He has a set of restaurants he goes to, a set of things it may be anything on the menu, but in the end, he eats what he eats, he likes what he likes, and the places he goes to knows it now. Halfway, he's ready for his next Coca-Cola. Your next Coca-Cola, Mr. Hospital? Yes, thank you very much, says Mr. Hospital. A creature of habit, and nothing fancy. Michelin stars or the food I used to serve up as a private chef, it means nothing to bro. We do share a love of mussels. And we'd go to a local restaurant in a town, the Belgian town where I grew up. And we'd go there with my parents in years gone past. And then throughout both my parents' cancer journeys, my brother and I used to be together more often than usual, becoming the nurturers, the carers. I talked about this the other day in another story where the whole role reversal, and we'd go back to that restaurant. Sometimes the two of us, sometimes him with mum, sometimes me with mum, sometimes the three of us, and we'd usually have mussels. When mum and I were in temporary accommodation after one of how many operations she had, bless her, I found a local restaurant nearby to that temporary home, and same thing happened. Sometimes I was there with my mum, sometimes I was there with my brother and my mum, and there's a theme, right? We'd have mussels in these individual ones, right? Not in the big sharing one that I've got next to me. When mum passed away, my bro and I took an English friend that came for mum's funeral to that local restaurant I mentioned before in my hometown. Guess what? My brother and I were eating mussels. My brother and I were facing the entrance, but we were digging in, right? And my English friend was sitting opposite me and having not mussels. I think he wouldn't. That wasn't his thing. But as we were just about to pay the bill, my English friend sort of looked over the shoulder of my brother and I and said, "Is that your dad?" There's my dad behind us in that local restaurant eating. You've got the theme now, right? Mussels. There's a famous quote in Casablanca, right? Of all of the dim towns and all of the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. Of all the restaurants that Bro and I could have gone to and Dad could have gone to, we went to the same one, just not together. When we sold the parents' home after Dad had also passed away, we had a gathering of his side of the family, the nephews, nieces, to say goodbye to that childhood town. And guess where we went? Yeah, that local restaurant in town. And yeah, I had mussels. going back and forth over the years, especially once my parents got ill and mum passed, dad passed, sorting stuff out. I went back and forth so many times. UK, England, England, UK, the Netherlands, Belgium, back, forth, back, sort this out. I'm needed. I found a place halfway between my home and my parental home in Dunkirk. And guess what? A mussel restaurant. I'm not too keen on motorway services food unless I really, really have to. So I found a place where I could, halfway through my journey by car, just sit and take a moment. And it's one of those places right on the seaside, right on the beach, formica tables, paper placemats, and a menu of, I think, at least 50 mussel dishes. And what is called la moule rit. The mussel laughs. Well, I don't think the mussel was laughing much, but the locals that came day after day of all ages most certainly were. And I would take a moment of mindful eating and looking around at this community where people of all ages were enjoying mussels, just like I had been all that time with my parents. And it, in crazy times, gave me a sense of, I don't know, a sense of normality and getting ready for going back home, not knowing when I'd need to come back across the channel for whatever next chapter. A moment of reflection, taking a breath. And that became a habit. It became a pattern. Oh, hang on a second. I'm not that different from my brother after all, am I? Who knew? I miss traveling. I gave the tip of that restaurant to one of our group members. He went there for a trip to Belgium, and he and his then girlfriend thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of those places that just, I don't know, it doesn't have to be all fancy, but it's fun and it's nice and it's mussels and it's on the seaside. And I miss traveling. I miss my foodie travels. I'll be coming back to that in one of my other stories, by the way, with a special guest. But for now, I will be welcoming my very first special guest tomorrow. And it'll be a story about a busy mum and rediscovery of food. And you've got to join tomorrow. I have a very, very special guest for you. None of my usual monologues, right? You must be fed up by now. Join me tomorrow with a busy mum, and take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.